Hello. So I'm looking at the comments here, Nancy and Calla Lizzie. Nobody here but us crones. Crone in the work, in the making here, another 10 years or so. How is everyone? Happy Sunday, October 23rd, 6 minutes past 4 o'clock. We are in our week of Samhain. Samhain is October 31st, and I hope you can hear me. Hi, how are you? Al-Shatan, how are you? And so this is really exciting, this time of the year for quite a few of us here. Stick around, Al-Shatan, please stick around. Okay, thank you, B. I know the timing's just not right for Europe, but you can listen as you're starting to fall asleep. I appreciate your patience and your presence. It's all good. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy this time of the year, and to connect with the energy, especially for readings for this time. I picked the obvious deck, at least for me, for those of you who know me. I haven't worked with the Barbara Walker Tarot consistently since last fall. I made yes, Love Light, you can have a reading. And I'm just going to do my introduction. I'm going to do my update and then get everyone up to speed. And then I'm going to start doing readings. So this is great to reconnect with the Barbara Walker Tarot. And it's a deck that I got about a year ago. And actually, let me grab it because it's not on my table. It's arm's length away. Here we go. And so this is like my year anniversary working with this deck. It's all good, B. You have sweet dreams, okay? So it's nice to come back with this deck. Now, I don't think I've mentioned to a few of you. And again, everyone who wants readings, please stand by because I always like to do an update and an intro before I jump into readings. Okay, so Love Light, hang tight for me. Appreciate your patience. I'll start the readings. Just give me like about 10 minutes or so. So it's about a year that I've established my love for this deck, Barbara Walker Tarot. This is it for those who may not know what I'm talking about or what deck. And then the book, The Secrets of the Tarot, which is not really a guidebook. She goes more into the mythology behind the arcana, the major and the minor arcana. So she'll touch upon lightly about the meanings of all those cards, the majors and the minors, but she goes more into the gods and goddesses, their importance, their role, what their energy is infused in with each of the cards. And how they relate to each other. So it's not a direct guidebook, but I feel this book is still very important to have, to go hand in hand to understand more than the meanings of the cards. Like this one here. This is one of two cards I pulled the other night, just to kind of set in stone the energy for the coming week. And this is one of my favorite cards, Queen of Wands. I really respect the Queen of Wands energy. I understand it. So anyhow, so when it comes to reading with this deck, it's going to be different. I don't work with the Rider-Waite-Smith. I started when I did the tarot with Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, but then I like to work with non-system decks that have their own own direction. I do go with inspired decks. Now there are RWS decks that are inspired, but the imagery is different. But I like them different enough so that the reader cannot have to relate to a system that's being associated with that deck. So I just love to have free wind in interpreting these cards without having to think, this sort of reminds me of the Doth. And I can't help, and I think a lot of us will jump back to references from that time. So, and that's totally fine. We'll relate back to decks that we've worked with and whatnot. So, so yes, Barbara Walker Tarot. It's the only deck I'm going to be reading with this week. I do have the Guild Tarot, but I've been working with it for quite a bit. So I'm going to give it a rest for a little bit, but it is the deck that I will be working with throughout the season, because I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on the Tree of Life and the Sephiroths and the structure that builds up the meaning and the associations with the Tree of Life. So it's going to be very interesting for me. I'm in my hermit phase, so everything that's moving with me right now for shifts and deeper practice and deeper insight feels like it's falling all in line. Let's see. Have I ever worked? No, I haven't. I have the only Marseille inspired deck that I have is the Mythical Creatures, and I got that about 2 years ago, and I have not picked it up yet because I feel where my practice is, it's moving me in a different direction. I will not get rid of that Mythical Creatures because it is a stunning deck. The cold press gilding that we see infused with the imagery in that deck is quite nice. And I like it. I like that it's creatures and it's mythical. And again, it deals with folklore creatures from different European countries and influences. So that deck is still of importance, but I paid a pretty penny for it. But when the decks speak to you, you'll know when to answer, plain and simple. So let me just scroll back here. Let's see. Okay, so not too many people now. Yeah, Linda, the card design is very nice. And I think what I'm starting to notice is it's not a trend, but as people are starting to rehome and they're starting to pass down their decks and they're looking at their decks, I'm seeing a few people looking towards the traditional. They're, decks that they're wanting to replace. They're filling the void with some older decks. I did a video discussion over the summer, traditional decks versus contemporary decks. And so the different imagery, the different interpretations, the genres that all of these decks were made in and what was going on at the time influences those decks. So when people go to an older deck from, say, pre-2000, and they may be a young individual of this generation, they kind of look at it and they're like, I don't get it. But everything has a past. Everything goes back of influence. So I think it's really important to keep in mind, and I'll keep saying this, to great, support the young artists, but also the young deck creators, but also look back. If you're really going to be serious about your tarot practice, go back. The ones who just buy the decks and they don't really go forward in any way with their practice or whatnot, they just tend to just stick with those decks that they have, and that's great. But I think it's always good to grow and explore what else is out there. Okay, so look more beyond what's currently being presented. There's hundreds upon hundreds of decks that are out there that have just as much influence as the newer decks. Okay. You may feel like working with it someday in the future. You never know. Also, you can, yeah, I agree. If it's the majors in a Marseille deck, I might as well work with any major from any other deck, because the majors I feel in the Marseille inspired deck I have, it's the mythical creatures, so they're represented not like in a Renaissance way, but they're represented more by the mythological history that particular animal represents. So I could probably work with the majors on that one. But the Marseille majors, you can almost go with any other deck, I feel. Okay, so Linda, correct. Now I'm trying to start my journey for tarot. I'm trying to have okay. You start wherever you need to. If some of you saw last week, I had Zach on my channel. He was my guest, and he jumped right into it. His first few decks. Oh, and I can't remember. I think one of the decks he got to begin with was the Marielle tarot. He didn't do the Doth. He didn't do the Rider-Waite-Smith. He went right to, I believe, the Marielle and one other deck that a lot of people just don't, think of when they want to learn the tarot. So he jumped into it. And watching Zach's channel and seeing some of the decks that he has, he is definitely, I feel, more in line with the occult side, the esoteric side of his practice. Sorry, this hair is just sticking out. The esoteric side of his practice. So he's similar like me, and I think that's where there's a bit of an similar interest that we have. We are interested in the unusual. We don't. The mundane is good, but we're looking for something that could challenge us in a way that we can go deeper with our practice. So he's doing it in one direction, I'm doing it in another. And so that time will happen when you feel that you've reached a certain point in your practice. So yeah, and that's where I am. I took a long hiatus from the tarot, and when I came back with a new appreciation. Sorry about this. A new appreciation with my practice. And got into it even more so than I could ever have imagined. So, the Mary L is, like I was saying to Zach, it's one of those decks that I'm on the fence with. It goes really deep. It's more of a subconscious deck than anything else. So I think for someone who has a strong sense of who they are, understanding of who they are, and also wants to delve in the subconscious realm, I think that's a perfect deck to work with because of that. And so that's why I'm on the fence, because I feel like some of the imagery, maybe kind of, but not now. So I'm not going to force read a deck because it's what everyone's reading at the moment or anything like that. I will read the deck when I'm good and ready. And that's how you should be honest with your practice when it comes to that. Tarot, divination, whatever form you do, it should come naturally. Don't feel like you have to be forced to do meditation every day at the same time. Okay, when you force yourself like that, it becomes work. And yes, you do have to do the work, but I changed the word work to practice. Okay, so you do the practice leaves, that term practice leaves some space for dedication, but you do it on your own free will. Okay, and you set up your schedule, so on and so forth. Hi Mel, how are you? Okay, so I have some things here that I'm going to show, and then I'm going to get into readings. Hang on one sec. I put the heat on because it's a little on the chillier side today, but this house is so much smaller than my other place, so it heats up quicker, which is nice, which means I don't have to have the heat on for a long time. Hi Shushmita Singh, how are you? I am doing readings. If if you can't leave a donation, that's fine, but donations are appreciated. I am working with one deck, the Barbara Walker Tarot. And so feel free to ask away, but I don't do any third-party questions or anything predictive. That's the twist to my readings, okay? So third party is asking how someone feels about you. Are they talking behind my back? What are other people? When it comes to readings, the focus shouldn't be on other people. You're doing a reading that you want to focus on you, okay? So that's where the focus is, okay? And I stand by that when I do these kinds of readings. So just keep that in mind. If you have a hard time trying to figure out the question or how to word it, that's, I'll still do a reading. We'll just change the direction of it, okay? So for everyone who is watching and would like to have a reading, think about your question. Do not think about the question in the state of someone else. Or if you're going to get a job or anything, you can get whatever you want. You just gotta be, you have to make that effort. You have to do that work to make things happen for you. Okay. So let's see here. Yes. Yeah. Shushmita, that's a question that we need to work on. When will I meet the love of my life? So you did a third-party question and you did a predictive question. See, this is the hard thing because people are so used to asking questions in a way where people will give them an answer, okay? And sometimes it works. Sometimes you kind of have to fudge the direction to, make those, to make that reading work in your favor, but you have to do the work, okay? And so it's something that need to get clear, and I need people to understand that, okay? Because when you do a predictive reading or a third-party question is infringing on someone else's energy, space. It's a sort of spiritual, I can't think of the word, spiritual nosiness. It's not the word I was looking for. And then also there's the predictive question where, am I going to get this house? Am I going to get $1 million? Anything predictive, I feel, is possible. Am I going to die? Yeah, we're going to die. Okay, we're going to pass on. Am I going to get sick? We're going to get sick. Am I going to get cancer? That's a question that you need to talk to your doctor about. Okay, so if you could see the pattern of where I'm talking about, please keep that in mind. Okay, so no lottery numbers. You know what you can do for lottery numbers? Use your magic 8-ball. Whatever the amount of numbers that are out there, if it's 10 numbers, do the magic 8-ball because you're going to a ball that's filled with purple liquid and it's going to tell you the numbers of what you're going to win. Let's see. Lizzie, I sent a donation and I'm not in any hurry for rain. Sally, it is still not about I can't follow up on that, Lizzie. Okay, so Sushmita, I will answer that and I will help you, okay? Yes, the colors right now have been wonderful. I did a walk earlier today and I took not a lot, but I took quite a few photos of the colors in people's houses for Samhain and Halloween. I'm in a wonderful place where fall fits this time of the year. Oh, and speaking of which, I forgot I got this. I was walking, just flaming colors. We see a little bit of the summer going into our fall season. So I picked this up. Let's see. So Shushmita, let me see. I know I had someone earlier. Nancy and Cal, Lizzie, and Mel, if you can help me watch for questions here, because I really want to focus on questions. It's been a while that I've done readings for people on here. I missed, it was love light. Love light, let me know if you're here, okay, if you still want to have me do a reading for you. So Sushmita, the way to think about what's going on is we need to focus more on the on your energy about your question, okay? You're asking about someone else, what this person feels about you. The best way to direct something like that is more or less, what do you need within yourself to bring people, to bring a certain person to you, or not a certain person, but a certain type of person. And the way to answer that is here's the answer, pretty much, more or less. What are you looking for? Okay. When someone asks about someone else, what are they thinking about? How do they feel about me? You should be turning those questions around and saying, what am I thinking about? How do I feel about me? Okay. Does that make sense? Because that's the crux of what's happening when people ask questions like that. It's something that they're missing. It's something that they're lacking. And they're hoping that they'll get the answer through someone else. Okay. But you need to turn those questions around and put them on you. Okay. So what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What are my needs? What do I need and what do I not want in a relationship or in a workplace? Okay. It's called manifestation. I'll be right back. Okay, so what do I lack in myself right now to get? Yes, you got it right there. So Shushmita, when you look at what you typed, okay, look at that. And then what you can do is write it out. Write down what you just asked me. Okay, what do I lack in myself right now to get the love of my life? Not the love of your life, but the love that you need to have. And then that keeps it more open, instead of putting that energy on a specific person. Okay. So if that's okay, I'd like to do the reading for you, but in that form. Okay. So let me know if that's fine. Okay. Because I need your permission to change the question in that way. Okay. What do I lack in myself to get the love that you need in your life? Okay. So let me know if that's okay. I'm not going to do the reading until you say okay, which you just did now. Okay. And Lizzie, did you want a reading? Let me know as well, okay? And Love Light, if you're here, let me know too if you still want a reading in lieu of what I just said. Okay. And it's hard, people need to start understanding how all this works, and that you do readings and you have expectations when you do questions that are predictive and third party, and that's just not the way that I feel you should approach the tarot. Okay. All right. So this deck, Barbara Walker Tarot, is small. Okay. So you'll be able to see all the details. So let's see what we have here, okay? Okay, for Sushmita. So we're also entered the month of Scorpio today. So energy for me, especially during this week, as we lead up to Samhain, has been really intense. We also have a solar eclipse happening on Tuesday, I believe, in the new moon. So a lot of deep energy. So I have a whole bunch of decks that are just strewn out on the table that are crying to me, that want to be read. So, okay, here we go, Shmita. What direction, what energy, what is Shushmita's focus? All right, here we go. I'm going to do 2 cards because this deck, that's interesting because one of the cards that came up is one of the cards I just pulled for my reading this week. Okay. So what I have here, Shushmita, okay, I have our conscious and our subconscious. So the conscious reading is more of, how we're feeling at the moment, what's going on. Our subconscious is the underlying issue, the underlying force that is influencing what's happening at a conscious level. So the first card I got here for you, I got the Hanged Man. Okay. So here with the Hanged Man, there we go. So I want you to look at this energy and focus on it. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, this is the reverse, which looks like upright, like an upright position, but it isn't. So what we have here with the Hanged Man, hanged person, is basically we just need to, we have to switch the way that we see things, how we feel things when it comes to relationships. When you've been experiencing patterns in relationships, personal, business, family, and things just aren't moving, there's a form of stagnant energy. I look at this card, the Hangman, as an hourglass. Okay, it's like all that energy that has been resting on the bottom now needs to be turned around. It needs to be moved. And so the Hangman is ruled by Neptune. So Neptune deals with our subconscious, deals with spirituality, but like the deeper side of things. This is the conscious card. So for the conscious card that you got here, it's a reflection of what's really happening and what needs to be resolved inside. So Shushmita, with this here, we need to change our perspective. Okay, we need to literally shapeshift the direction of how we've had relationships. What can we do differently? Okay, we can feel comfortable in patterns and just, not moving forward because everything is good the way it is. We don't want any less, we don't want any more. But if you want to grow and if you want to mature, we have here with the grapes, and prosper, we need to make some changes. Okay, we need to change the way that we see things, and I love the depiction that Barbara Walker did here of the white and the red on opposite energies. We're seeing this energy constantly moving. You see, so it's just, it goes beyond changing our view on things. We have to maintain this. We can't say, I'm going to change my view in this and what I want to bring in and just leave it at that. You got to make it happen. Okay. But we have to start somewhere. Okay. And so we need to just leave old ways of seeing things and start fresh. Okay. And this also encourages to listen to what's going on inside of you. Because as soon as you start changing your perspective and you start writing things down, Shushmita, and you start making these efforts to move forward, you'll start seeing things change. Okay. Now, this is a card that I got here for you for our Nine of Wands, or for the subconscious. Okay. So you're being protective. Okay. And that's natural. But I also feel with this Nine of Wands that there is that fear. There is that uncertainty of, of possibly making experiencing something new and may not work. These here are self-built defenses. Okay. See, the person is behind it, not in front of it. This person actually built this and stayed inside. And it's like, nothing's going to break this down. Now, if this individual was up in front of the structure, then we're seeing, let's say this person was up front of the structure and the knife was behind it. That's the sense of moving ahead. But here, this is showing all the energy that this is, again, what's going on currently. You're holding back. Okay. And this card's very strong and showing a very prominent sense of not being open and not moving forward and not putting things in a place that could better serve you. It is so, so important to break through this. Okay, I'm going to pull one other card for you. Okay. So here I have Six of Swords. Okay, and so usually with some of the RWS decks that we usually see an individual. I'm going to move closer here, who is actually pedaling a boat or a canoe or some sort of water structure that someone is in there or a few people are in. This is showing a time of transition. Okay, time to move away, time to explore. So I feel right now, this card here, this third card, is actually what you need to begin with. Okay, we know consciously we need to change things. We have to keep that energy going. We have the underlying protection, and this is a very strong card again. This individual here is bare and is protecting this, doesn't want anyone to come near that part of who they are. So what I feel you need when it comes to bringing this energy of love, what you feel is needed is we need to go through some soul searching. Okay, we need to look inside and we need to move very slowly. Okay, write things down. People need to understand too that when it comes readings, these aren't immediate things. You have to do the work. And this is where the first journey begins, Shushmita. We need to move slowly and we need to really see inside and break down this kind of feelings and perspectives that we have so that we can move forward. And here's the thing, you'll know when you're ready. You'll know when you're ready to, find a relationship, or not even find it, but it'll come to you. Because the energy, the work that you've done with the Hangman and the Nine of Wands is everything that has been shifting inside is coming up at a surface level, plain and simple. And people will see it. They will see it by the way that you present yourself, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you talk. People will pick up on that. People will start seeing that change. And so it is so important to realize that it's not going to happen like this. We need to stop and slow down. okay, and really spend the time looking inside, okay. We have dark waters here, okay, and we're seeing this journey, the journey of what is important for us. Write everything down. I say to almost everyone that I read with, do you journal? Write down your fears, write down what needs to be let go of, okay. It's okay to be protective, but this is beyond overprotective. You're basically enslaving yourself from moving forward, and we can't have this. Okay, here we need to literally change things over so things can start growing inside and outside, and start being honest with how we feel about things, within ourselves and outwardly. Okay. Okay, so remember those cards. Six of Swords is the transition that you need to do within yourself to find what you really need to have, to what you really need to bring in. Next comes in changing the way that we've normally done things, seen things, how we approach relationships, maybe change that in a different way. And we need to stop this. Okay, we need to stop this. We don't grow. We don't grow in a card like this subconsciously. We just stay stuck, and we will never be able to move outside of that realm until we acknowledge those fears. Okay. You're so welcome, Shushmita. Thank you. I hope it made sense. I go really into great detail with these cards here when I do readings, and it's grown even more so in the last few weeks. So remember those cards, okay? And if you have a tarot deck, put those cards up as a reminder of what work needs to be done, okay? All right, let's see here. Let me go back here a bit. Lizzie, I do want a reading, but maybe a little later. No, okay, that's fine. Okay, a general Samhain reading. Well, I can do that for you, or if you want to wait next week, I'm going to do a Samhain YouTube live. So I will be sharing the reading, a general reading for Samhain. The thinning of the veil is definitely opening up more so during this last week as we get ready for the Witch's New Year. So yes, I could do a reading at some point today, or if you want to wait till next week. I think it'll probably be Sunday. Not certain yet. When I do the Samhain live reading for everyone, and we talk about Samhain, Halloween, what it means to us, and share stories. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to get a theme put together. Let's see here. The power of writing down your thoughts. This is Linda, who is Al Shaitan. The power of writing down your thoughts is really indescribable. I used to do it because my therapist suggested that for me, and it really helped me to wear a different lens of self-awareness. Yeah, because when you're doing this, I mean, this is coming from your thought to your heart to the hand. I tell people, if they're having a hard time in a situation and you can't put it into words verbally, perhaps you could write it down, and there's some people who have that block. They have a blank piece of paper, and they can't even think of a word to put in, because your mind is doing the chattering monkeys. It's all this going on. Let the mind just do what it does, and don't focus on the chat, but just kind of let the chattering dissipate. And then when it does, you can start writing things down, because when you let go of the chattering monkey mind, okay, it's like this. Okay, so imagine this fist is the mind with all these thoughts and words that are going on. You can't think, right? When you have a headache, you have that pressure. You can't think. You don't know where to begin with things because of that. Let go of the thoughts, okay? And just relax, breathe through the monkey mind. Breathe through this, and then things start opening, the valve starts opening, and then your heart rate starts slowing down, okay? And the mind starts slowing down. And then next thing, a word comes in, few words, then a sentence comes in, okay? Next thing you know, you're writing a paragraph, and then it becomes part of your journal, okay? So that's really, Brianna, hi, how are you? That is so important to remember that. Anxiety is a crux for all of us. So we have to stop and take that moment, don't bottle things up. I'm sorry, Mel. Okay, so Mel owes me, what is it? I owe Mel thanks for burning her meal, which apparently tastes very good right now because it's charred. I don't know. Think about that spiritually, what just happened, Mel. Right? Okay, I read what you got here, Lizzie. That's totally fine. Just send me a reminder. Okay, I'm going to be here for a little bit. Linda, it is like a river connection. Connect the subconscious to the conscious level, just like fluids. It's like the moon card. The moon card is that connection that we go within ourselves. But it stems from our external resources and influences that we've been exposed to. And then it influences us in very subtle ways, and it gets broken down, and it manifests in so many ways through our actions, through our dreams specifically. It's the mind is just fascinating. And I had a talk with a person I did a reading for recently, and this person works in psychology. And the conversation that we were having, this person was opening my eyes with different forms of psychology that's out there, and we hit upon some things. It's like, you know what? That's one thing that I'd like to explore is the psychology aspect. We have Jen Science to Soul Transformation from Australia. She's I think she's a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. We had chatted a few times about doing a discussion about the psychology and tarot, but she's building her practice. Hopefully she will pop in and we can hopefully set up something. But I think the psychology and tarot is very, very important. Going beyond Jung, where that's more dreams, but we're looking more at the psychology, the psychosis that develops and forms when, creating a deck and working with a deck. Think about all the deck creators. Barbara Walker, I'm going to pull the first card that I got here. These are influences that she put into this deck. Okay, it doesn't have to be her personal experiences, but in a sense, there probably were influences that through talking to people and her own life's experiences and research, influenced her to develop such a very strong deck. Very important. Lizzie, I do a meditation with a Taoist monk who always talks about the monkey mind. Yeah, there's a reason. I mean, the monkey mind could be almost in line to the Chihuahua mind. You know, Chihuahuas, you know, they're very vocal. The monkey mind can be as well too. They're not as vocal, but you could sort of see in their actions, you know, when they're jumping all over the place. They're taking their thoughts and putting into action. The Chihuahua mind is the talking and almost similar to the actions of a monkey, but in the Chihuahua state. Okay, and I hope someone doesn't take that word and runs with it and call it now the Chihuahua mind. That just came into my head. Okay, my monkey mind here. With regards to dreams, is tarot able to reach out to the dream level of our brains? I believe so. I believe so. There's a deck I was working with. I stopped working with it because I couldn't connect with the deck any longer. And I was using that deck for dream work because the work had a very surrealistic feel and imagery to it. And as time went on, I had the deck for I think 2 or 3 years, and I decided to gift it to someone. You can use decks like not Robert Place. There's I have to get the book because it's not coming to me. Oh, Mel, I'm not going to say what deck because I gave it away. It's the Jungian Tarot by Robert Wang. And so that deals with dream work. And there are a few other decks where maybe they don't go so much in the scientific approach of Jungian, but I think it's really I'm trying. This other deck that just popped into my mind. It was created by an artist who did a deck that became very popular recently, and she did all these Rorschach imagery, you know, like different blotter imagery, different colors, different shapes. And that deck I almost got, but now I'm thinking if I want to explore psychology, I may have to search down that deck and use that deck because it is a form of analysis when it comes to working with clients in psychology. So there's a Jungian tarot, which I was thinking about getting, but it didn't move me. So to go back to the dream level, I think any tarot deck that you have can reach those certain states because you look at the artwork. You know, I think the Mary L. Tarot would be a wonderful example of a deck that can reach deep into the subconscious. You know, some people call it more of a shadow deck because of the coloring and the themes of quite a few of the imageries there in that deck. And so I think that would be a pretty strong example of working with a deck like that for dreams. Yeah, Barbara Walker is. I'll do it tonight. I sometimes work with the minor arcana when doing a card pull, but I think I'm going to go back to the way that I was reading with the Llewellyn Tarot, just working with the majors. If you pull a majors, one of the 22 major cards in your tarot deck, think about the majors. The majors are strong. They're archetypes. They're very influential when they show up in readings, especially when there's a lot. These are clear indicators of things that we need to focus on within ourselves, and using their energy and their influence from the card that we pull as guidance for change, letting go, growth, so on and so forth. But in doing so, I noticed that when I was doing the majors only, and I would do a meditation with that one particular card, and the meditation involves throwing yourself into that card, like feeling the body temperature of that archetype, the clothes, the environment that they're in, the feeling of the tool that they're holding, all of that. You take that in consciously, it gets broken down, it gets processed subconsciously, and don't be surprised if attributes of that major arcana start showing up in your dreams. And if so, that's a wonderful way that it can be used to do dream analysis and to help, problem solve a situation. One thing that I have noticed, and for people who are coming in and want readings, I'm here. I'm just talking away and just waiting for people to put in a request for readings. So let me know, okay? Donations are appreciated. They are not forced upon. If you want to do a donation, it's through PayPal. I'll type it here again. But right now, I will be talking until someone doesn't want me to talk, and I'll do a reading. So I'm working with the Barbara Walker Tarot, my deck for this time of the year. So let me type this in here. Okay, there you go. Okay, let me go back a little bit here in time. Archetypes, mythology, theology, it all feeds into the psychology of tarot as it does with astrology. That's a lot of ologies. That's a lot of ologies. Yeah, it does. But I think what I'm trying to get across is the psychology is more of how the individual receives and responds and experiences the tarot. Like I said, for those who create the deck, some create decks because they've gone through trauma and they're using it as a form of healing. Some people create it because they have just this spiritual awakening, and these are the imageries and energies that they've worked with, and they're getting spoken. Very similar like the Doth, right? I think Frida Harris. Am I thinking of the right name? I'm drawing a blank here. The images came to her, and she started drawing and painting the Doth system like that. Okay, let's see here. The Rackham is really speaking to me lately. It's a weird one too. Mel, could you put the link for that deck? I think you may have mentioned it when I think you mentioned it when I was with Zach when we were doing readings. So let me know about that. The Jungian Tarot was the first deck I ever bought, and I never really connected to it. We were also talking about that too. The Tiger's Abyss. We're talking about decks that, we don't connect to immediately, and then years, months, whatever, fly by, and then the deck is screaming to us. A good example is Mel of Woolly Hermit gifted me the wild unknown, because I was speaking about it at some point this year, saying I was curious about it, and I felt like it was starting to call out to me. And I never liked that deck when it first came out. I didn't like it because honestly, a lot of people were working with it, but also the imagery at the time just wasn't working with me. And now I'm coming to the realization with that deck that I was in a point in my practice where I really wasn't exploring the subconscious side as deep as I did, and the wild unknown is that deck, because it's pip oriented. It has that black background, and it deals with light, dark, with splatterings of color, so on and so forth. And I think that deck just went over the through the roof for a lot of people, because it touched and it hit upon the intuitive part of people that they didn't realize. And so they see this deck, not everyone, okay? Remember when that deck first came out, I didn't dig it, but it's where people are at that time. And so decks will come and go in that way. And here am I, like the other night, I was going through that deck, and it's like, this is amazing. This is an amazing deck. I'm not going to say Kim Krans is a master, but she touched upon the psyche of people with that deck. Okay, it goes spiritual, but she also hit upon the psyche of people. And so that deck will be, because it's mass produced, that deck will probably exchange hands with so many people because of the different times that they are, where they are at that time in their life. So it's going to be seeing many different hands. And I think that deck should probably stay in the hands of people for a while. If it's not ringing with you, put it aside. It may come back to you in a few years or in a few months, because something's changing with you. You know what I mean? And so, like, I don't have the Doth deck. I had it and I gifted it to a person, to another reader who didn't have it, but I just was not connecting with it. And every now and then I go and look at a video that features the Doth system, and I look at it, and it gets my curiosity, but it doesn't wow me anymore. Okay, maybe it will in 10 years, but for now I want to hold on to the decks that I'm working with and that have a very strong influence with me, like the BW Tarot. Let's see. The first deck that was screaming to me was the Elemental Tarot. It's still my favorite. That was actually one of the decks that I saw at Newt's, and I looked at it, and I was thinking about trading it, or trading something in exchange for it, because I already got the fifth tarot from that trade table. And I just looked at it, and it holds the elemental energy. But it's like, you know what? I have some decks already that speak to me in the way that I need to in regards to the elements. So I just put it on the table, let it go. It's too long to post here, but on Amazon and based on Grimm's fairy tales. Let me type this in really quick, okay? Because I think you mentioned this before, Mel, and I think I looked it up. So let's see. Everyone bear with me here. I'm going to type this in. Rackham Tarot. Oh, let me see here the images. Here we go. Let me see here. Okay, Okay, but it's not giving me all the images. Oh, here we go. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, it's very fairy tale like. Yeah, it's not speaking to me. The illustrations are nice. I don't feel it. Can't spell RWS. Let's see. I tried the mini version again, and does it speak with me for some reason? I will enjoy that deck with you. Okay. Actually, you know what? Hold on to that. Mel, hold on to that tin deck. Okay. Because now I'm thinking about maybe getting the tin version of that deck. So I can, because the way the coloring is of that deck, if I get the small version, then I could do a grand tableau. I could do a large reading. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. I need a second camera to do this. I have to figure out how to work with my new phone, so that you could see the full spread. You know how some YouTubers, they have a second screen and you could see the reading and you can watch what the person is saying to you while they're pointing to the cards. I'd love to do something like that. I'd like to share a grand tableau reading with a deck like that, something that's smaller. I could do it with the Barbara Walker. And I think I have, the Guild Tarot and, what's the other deck? It's on the tip of my tongue. Raven Phelan's Dreams of Gaia, the smaller deck. Those are the ones I could do larger readings with, but I'd love to do it live so you could see the cards as they're being laid out, and then I can interpret the reading for you. Let's see, Lizzie, I have 3 Doth decks, including a greenie, and I don't read Doth. 2 of them I got in a lot of 9. Oh, and a lot of 9 used decks, and most of them had never been used. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Mel, just hold on to it. See if it's intriguing, but it's still not speaking to you. It's just that timing, right? It's just that timing to be where you need to be to have that deck speak to you, And so that's why for me, and I think it's always healthy, rotate those decks out. Rotate the decks that you want to work with. Rotate in the decks that you want to work with for this season, fall, winter. And then as we go into spring, summer, we're waxing energy, we're gaining light, and we're gaining fuel, and a buildup for the spring, summer. You start putting away those fall and winter decks and start bringing in those decks of expansion. We are now in a contracting time of the year, waning. So we're looking for decks that are more inwardly. People work with shadow decks during this time. So it's very important to, resonate with those decks and change them seasonally, change them from fall to winter. I think there's a few decks that I could bring out for winter. I think I could break it down for each season. But I mean, fall is the hotbed for all divinatory practices because, especially now, people connecting with ancestors, those who've passed away. They're feeling that connection to the other world more so than any other time of the year. So we tend to go to those decks that are Halloween inspired, influenced, or shadow oriented. And that's where we get all that buzz. It's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling closer to connecting with, a certain individual or a certain energy because of what that deck brings in. Very important. I have serious decks I do personal work with, but then I have funsy decks just to tell stories with. Yeah, that's totally fine. Okay, we all work differently, right? There's that Halloween, the Trick or Treat by Barbara Moore, which I've seen. It's playful, but it's not my cup of tea. I'm not saying that I'm not fun because I do have the Pulp Tarot. And I'll have to bring that deck out for next weekend. That'll probably be one of the decks I'll work with. But yeah, don't find yourself having to be forced to work with a certain deck just because it's a deck that goes in line with the season, but it's not calling you. So just, be honest with your practice, and, you may change your mind a few times too during the time of the season. It's like, oh, I want to work with this deck, and then work with it for a few days or a few weeks and then change it up again. That's totally fine, But me personally, I like to stay in line with the energy of the seasons. That's how I work with all the Sabbats. My winter project is to be serious about learning the Tarot de Marseille. I just feel a bit weird with putting my other decks away. No, see, I like people to challenge themselves. If you can pick one deck, and I did a 72-hour tarot challenge that not many people took, looked at it or did it, because I think for people, they don't want to spend 72 hours, and that's only 3 days with one particular deck. You cannot bring in any other deck, or, be influenced by other decks. You are connected, brother, soul, sister, mother, father, with that deck. And you're looking at every card in those 72 hours, and you're doing readings with it. It's a bit of an intense, just came over. It's a bit of an intense challenge, but I think it works wonders. And the deck that I used for that 72-hour tarot challenge, the VR, was the Barbara Walker. And I'm so happy I did. We were talking about the moon card earlier, remember? Very simple, but very strong. Okay, so we are moving into our new moon. We're in Scorpio. We are moving into that darkest phase, Scorpio. I'm going to leave this card out. Let's see. Yeah, trick or treat. Yeah, it's just, I think some of you already get a sense as to the decks that I have. I can't do overly cutie decks. I have, let me see here. I have the Forest of Enchantment. And that's probably the most cutest deck, with the exception of Oak, Ash, and Thorn. That's a cute animal nature inspired deck. But it's not overly, young cute. But yeah, it's decks that are sort of playful and stuff like cute. I can't, because that's not, I can't take my tarot practice into working with a cute deck, if that makes sense. And that's something I could probably explore as well. Maybe that's, I need to be more open with some decks. And I am. I got the Pulp Tarot. I think that's the most whimsical, playful deck that I can even work with. And it still comes across very strong. Let's see here. Oh, you did the challenge, Lizzie. Okay, excellent. I don't have a Marseille deck, but our pip decks, similar. I enjoy pip decks for the numerology. The Marseille, it has that unique style of imagery. I think the Marseille is more like the classical style of the tarot. I have, I forgot, I do have another deck that is Marseille. But you look at the patterning, but if you look at decks that are pips, Pip and Marseille are completely different, because let's say this really isn't, Barbara's deck isn't pip oriented. But if you look at the pips, let's say you see 5 wands we can see different depictions from different creators of the wands. It could be 8 flames, like the Guild Tarot is a good example of it. They use different tools, and it's a pip deck to signify wands, cups, coins, swords. That's the other one I was thinking of. They use different depictions, different tools to depict those suits. So they may be similar, but Marseille basically tends to have the suits, but they look very traditional in the way. There's no and they're ornate, and there's no deviation from that, I feel, with the Marseille decks. Go to Justin Michaels or Musings with Masha. They are Marseille enthusiasts. You see those decks and you could see clear. Marseille is just classical. They're classical forms of pips. Well, these pip decks that we have here, again, they use different tools to signify the suits that are there. Hey, Ange, how are you? Welcome aboard. It's been a while, Ange. How are you doing? Let us know. I think last I heard you're working a lot, so it sounds like your schooling is done, and now you're full time, I'm guessing. Let's see here. Yeah, the Green Witch, the Shadowland is cute in a dark way. It's pretty interesting. I like the way Monica created that deck. But again, also too, I feel some of these decks, when they go through publishing houses, I feel some of the creators may feel forced that they have to, restructure their designing of their deck just to get it sold. So they can't make it as deep or as intense, because then people won't understand it and then they won't want to purchase it. So I think sometimes creators have to soften what they really want to, get across in the tarot, just so people can purchase it, but at least get, a general message across with their deck. Yeah, the Green Witch, Shadowland. Let's see here. Oh, thank you for getting that, Ange. Good one. Thank you. Tarot of Curious Creatures. Yes. I think I've seen that one. I think I've seen the Curious Creatures. Let's see here. It's a very serious deck. It's just got a card. Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's the styling of the artwork. And so for some reason with the Shadowland, what is that? I can't remember that cartoon. Things that we are afraid of. Am I thinking correctly? It's these creatures that kind of remind me a little bit of the imagery in Shadowland. And I kind of think about that, those kinds of imagery. I think it's Things That We Are Afraid Of. It's that flip book that came out, I guess, in the late 70s. And it had all these creatures, and on the covers, this creature, big hands are up. If you know what I'm talking about, please help me with the title. Hey, Jezebel, how are you? Thank you for just coming in. B turned in about an hour ago, so she popped in very quickly. Let's see. Okay, you're working in a pharmacy. Excellent. I have one or more. Okay, you're almost done, Ange. I am so proud of you. I remember a few years ago when we met on YouTube. You're in the middle of your study, so I'm very proud of you. I really am. That's a lot of work. Yeah, Druidcraft, and the other deck too is the Wildwood Tarot. It hasn't spoken to me. I'm not going to get rid of that deck, but it just has not come to me. And I was all over that deck, like for a little bit over a year. It's just like, this is the deck. This is the deck. It's the deck of the moment for me. It's like, oh, I love this deck. It's amazing. Things that go bump in the night. Yes, Lizzie, you got it. Where the wild things are. That's what I'm thinking of. Where the wild things are. I have to look at this. Where the wild things are. Yep, those images. They're very troll-like. I'm looking at one right now. Yep. It's funny, the way I remembered it was this gesture. So it's as a kid, and you're looking at this book and you see this, that's the first thing that I remembered. People of the 70s unite. Yeah, Gen Xers, right? So yes, where the wild things are. That's exactly what it is. And it's been a while. And for people ask questions, I guess people are just not wanting readings. Wow. I'm really missing everyone to do readings here. And I know I haven't been frequent here on YouTube, so it's been a lot of transition for me. So I haven't been able to be present for a lot of lives and creating videos that apparently people can't hear except me. So so yeah, working on that. I don't have the Druid craft. The Wildwood is the one that speaks to me. Thank you, Linda. Oh yeah, thank you, Lizzie. Because you know what I'm doing here? It's just letting people know I'm waiting. I am ready. I'm ready for a reading. And it's also something, maybe it's a nervous trait, but it's just something just to pass time for me. It's that Mercury and Gemini. Having to keep things going, having to keep things moving. Okay. All right, you ready, Lizzie? Of course you're ready, right? Okay. Build it and they will come. Hey, you know what, Mel? You just gave me an idea. Oh, you should not have said that. You should not have said that. I shuffle while I watch The Serpent Queen and House of Dragons. I think that's what it is too, Brianne. It's soothing. People, when they get into a rocking chair, or if they sit in a rocking chair, obviously the first thing you do, you're going to rock, but you keep doing it, right? You're talking to someone, you're rocking. You see people who have, they have tendencies, they have nervous tendencies. The nervous leg, when people shake their legs while they're talking, it's also a form of external release that's coming out, and that's what I'm doing here. And it feels good, actually. Let's see here. Thank you, Ange. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's a question. Lizzie, let me know what your question is. Let me know what you like to know. Yeah, it's just like it's excess energy that I have until someone is ready for a reading, and then I'm going to stop. Oh, but Mel, you said something, keep building it and it will come. I just got a picture of building the house of cards. Because Lizzie put in, I shuffle while I watch the Serpent Queen and House of Dragons. I was just thinking, building a house of cards with the Barbara Walker Tarot. Okay, so Linda, may I ask if you have a different link for donation? PayPal does not work with me, unfortunately. You can do, let me think here for Venmo. So see if you could try Venmo and try the Rose Mystic at gmail.com. I think that should work. If not, don't worry about it. Yeah, see if Venmo works. I do Square when I was at the Newts, but that needs to be in person to swipe cards and stuff. Okay, so in the next couple months, what does the universe want me to focus on? So Lizzie, I remember I've done a few readings for you. Okay, and maybe you can email me about this if it's too personal. But let me know in the times that I've read for you if you've been doing the steps to make those changes happen. Okay, let me know. I am going to do your reading. Oh, a card just fell out. Okay. This wasn't for Lizzie's reading. It just fell out while I was shuffling. We have the Moon card, and I also got the Four of Pentacles. This card is one of the cards that comes out in readings very frequently. The Four of Pentacles. But here, this isn't your reading, Lizzie, but the Four of Pentacles here, we're seeing the work that's been done, right? We're seeing this building up of everything that we've been focusing on, utilizing our resources. But what's interesting too is look at the size of this. I'm reading this card almost that there is too much of building. And we have a tiny opening, and look at the size of this person. I'm reading this card more in the lines of overextending the work that we've been doing. Creating something so big, so large, more so than what we actually need. Okay, because we got this very small door. We have this person who's carrying in a bag that's yellow, which I can take as success because I see the four flags on top of this showing accomplishments. But I'm almost reading this card in a sense that there's been too much emphasis put on this building, on this work, putting too much, extending ourselves out too much with this. Everything's barren. And so I take this in a different direction. It's interesting. Four of Pentacles. With solitude in such a large fortress. My burnt offering. Mel, you're hitting a chord with me. Does anyone remember that movie, Burnt Offerings? That horror film, it came out, I think, in the 80s, early 80s, along the time of The Omen. There we go, The Omen and The Exorcist. Hello, Amano. How are you? Yes, you are welcome to have a reading. You saw you saw it on YouTube. I got to watch that. It's been a long time. I think there's a scene of a coffin, or am I thinking of? I'm thinking of another horror film. Oh, think of another horror film. There's a scene of a coffin. I think that's just like flying, not literally flying, but rolling towards someone at very fast speed. And I think that's from Burnt Offerings or Phantasmagoria, or Phantasm. Yeah, Phantasmagoria is the name of the Damned record. Phantasm, I think that's the film that takes place in that mausoleum. Okay, we're getting sidetracked here. This is all supposed to be talk for Samhain, not for readings, even though this is Samhain-inspired readings. Karen Black, I think so. I think she was in that film. There was a British actor that was in that film, Oliver Reed. I think he was in Burnt Office. Okay. All right. Okay, so Lizzie, let's do your reading. And Linda, let me know if you still want me to do a reading. I'll stick here for a little bit longer. Does anyone remember the Poe tell about the neighbor that cooked his dog and fed to him? Oh, yeah. I remember that. I think it was Vincent Price. I think it was Vincent Price. It was one of the most disturbing things that I remember seeing because, I love animals. That was, yeah. Okay. I got to stop looking at the chat because that's really distracting me now. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so Lizzie, I'm working on Marseille this winter. Do I need to know anything? Or let me start over. Do I need to know anything or do anything specific to help with that work? Okay. So let's do this guidance for Lizzie's. And excellent for you that you're working with the Marseille. Don't force it though. Marseille is all in, natural intuitions, what you see. You're going to be doing a lot of writing though. Okay, when you're working with that deck. So just be prepared to have a notebook and write down, your thoughts and how you read each of those cards. Okay, so let's see here. Marseille for Lizzie. What's the guidance that she needs to have? Oops. Okay, for Marseille practice. Okay, one more. All right. Okay. So the first card I have here for you, Lizzie, this is a card that's going to be the focus of your practice. And then the other two cards. Okay. The other two cards are going to be conscious and subconscious. So this card here is Seven of Wands. Okay. So don't let, and this is something new that you're going to be exploring. So don't let the challenges, the questioning, everything that's coming into your head, don't let it put you off. And I like how this moon It looks more almost like a sickle, part of a sickle, floating over the head, and you're juggling a lot. And these wands are on fire. There's going to be a lot of overwhelming that you're going to feel. Okay, so like I was saying, when you see the Marseille and work with the Marseille decks, just work with that energy. Okay, don't let it overwhelm you. Work with the challenge. When we study, when we go to school to study, it's something new. We are going to be challenged, but we also have to be open-minded about this. Okay, and accept that everything that you're going to learn, or some of what you're going to be learning, isn't going to be perfect. Okay, you're not going to get it right off the bat. It's going to take time. So look at that deck in a way as not as a challenge, but as a form of just gaining knowledge. I always like to throw in something different when a card like this comes in. Turn the word challenge, overwhelming, to gaining knowledge, to gaining wisdom, to gaining understanding. And once you overcome a challenge, that's what you gain, right? It's making sense. Things are falling into place. You're getting it. It's working with you. It's going to take time. Okay. So you need to be patient with yourself when it comes to that. Okay. We see the look of, oh my God, I'm getting over my head and look what's looming over me. Oh my God. Don't feel the energy of this card. Just think of the aftermath of what will happen when you are open to learning more of what's there. The conscious side that I got here, interesting enough, I got here the Prince of Swords. So I feel this experience that you're going to be having is going to be definitely more cerebral. And it's going to be something that I feel you will tackle and that you will get this. And before I show the card again, I think it's something that will have surprised you in a sense that, wow, it's not as difficult as I thought it would be. Okay. And here I know we see a small mound of bodies, and we have this prince. I believe the Tyr, Tyr. I think this mythological energy is Scandinavian. And so I think it's overcoming those challenges. There's a little bit of blood on the sword, but think of this in a way of life force. Okay, not saying that this is going to be a great challenge, that it's going to just push you over the edge in the sense of just like, putting it away and just like literally burying the hatchet. But what I feel here is you're going to knock this down. Okay. And you could see the bodies as different aspects of yourself, different levels of challenges that you're going to be experiencing through. And the swords, as you know, deals with communication in the mind. So be careful and listen to what's going on as you're going through this process of going through the Marseille. Okay. You're going to have all these different forces and influences in you moving around and stuff. Some may say, hey, stop this deck, it's crazy. Or the other side is going, no, keep going. This is going to be good for you. Okay. It's overcoming all of those different influences. So the next deck, or the next card that I have here, good night, Ange. Thank you for coming. Thank you for popping in. So the next card that I have here is Five of Pentacles. Oh, Ange, thank you also for catching the troll. Okay, appreciate it. Please come back. Okay, like to know more how you're doing, okay? So here we have 5 of Pentacles, okay? This is our conscious state. Now here, this is what could happen if you allow that Marseille deck, whichever one you're working with, allow it to overwhelm you. Okay, so I'm going to put these 2 cards here side by side. Okay. I know, Lizzie, you put yikes, but this is entirely up to you how you want to deal with these challenges. You know, do you want to let it overwhelm you? And remember, this is the Barbara Walker Tarot. It's going to be a very direct deck, and it's going to speak at a very forward manner of getting the message across. Okay. And I feel this is something that you need to be aware of, because you're wanting to learn this particular style and you're working with this particular deck. If you allow this to happen, okay, I feel that this could end up feeling more like a personal letdown, because you're really trying to manage this during your practice and studies. Okay. And you can achieve it. But if you let those different forces, like, feeling defeated in that sense, allowing that defeat to happen, then this is what happens. Okay. The whole purpose of change and growth is remaining dedicated to something that you start, that you want to learn, grow, and flourish from. This is just a card of just being mindful that if you kind of fall off to the side, this is what can happen consciously. And this could be something that could be of a letdown for yourself, So just be mindful of that. You have this down. You just got to make this work happen for you. Okay. And stay dedicated. Don't push yourself. Don't give yourself a time frame, because everyone learns things at a different speed and at a different time. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Give yourself the space. Amy Hunter, hi, how are you? Yes, you can have a reading. Donations are appreciated. And it's through PayPal. It's my email address. It's actually in the description. But if you can't do a donation, that's totally fine. I'm more than happy to assist you with a reading. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Lizzie, you know this already. Okay. So this is the card that I feel is going to be your Achilles tendon if you allow it to. And ask yourself, Tarot of Marseille, is this the deck that you want to work with to learn the Marseille? Did you choose this deck, or did the deck choose you so that you could better understand it? Okay. So see about how you can approach this practice. Make sure it's a deck that you can work with and that you feel comfortable with. Okay. Okay. So we know this is going to be a little bit of an issue, but you can overcome it. Okay, remember that Prince of Swords. You could tackle all these energies that may be coming in to kind of keep you off the path of where, you need to be most focused on. Okay, that's fine, Amy. It's totally fine. And of course, everyone, if you can't do a donation or you're just watching, hanging out, feel free to subscribe. I do have content coming up. It's just been a little bit of a whirlwind for me for the last month. So please bear with me. Content is coming. Let's see here. Amy Hunter, can you do a reading on my money and wealth? Sure, I can. Do you want to be more along the lines of your relationship with money and wealth? Because I can't do anything predictive, like how much money you're going to get or how wealthy you're going to be. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Yes, Lizzie. Yeah, remember those cards and just put them out so that you can look at them, especially that Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. The five and all the suits doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have struggle, strife, or anything like that. It's just a something to be aware of, that if you were to go a different direction, this is what could potentially happen. Okay, so just stick on the path that you're working on. If things are moving forward, if things are stagnant, you need to take that moment and just assess where things are, and then decide where to go. Okay, where to make those next steps. Let's see. Okay, I had one other person. Let me see here. Who had Amano Ichago. Let's see, Imano, let me know if you're here, if you wanted to have a reading. And if so, let me know, and I'll do your reading first, and then Amy, I'll go ahead and do yours as well afterwards. I'm trying to stick in an order of doing these readings. Okay. So let me know. I'll call out Imano, or Amano. I'll call you twice, 2 more times. Let me know if you're here, if you still like to have a reading. It's the reason for the Five of Pentacles. Yeah. If you get a card and it associates with a certain weak point that you have in yourself, then that's just a sign just to be mindful of it, because that shows that energy could potentially show up and take you away from what you need to focus on the most. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, Liz, I just saw something here. Your notebook is ready. Your J.M. David book is ready. What's J.M. David? I don't know what that is. Let me know. Okay. Amano? Once, twice. Okay. All right. So, Amy, let's focus on your reading. Okay. I think everyone is Samhaining a little bit earlier. We're getting ready for next weekend. Okay, let's see what we have here. Amy, I don't do anything predictive. I can't tell you how wealthy you're going to be or how much money you're going to make. I don't do predictive readings. Anyone can have that. Anyone can attain it. And I feel there's nothing predictive about that. It's just how you approach it and what you do to attain the wealth that you want and the material things that you need. So that's why I don't do anything predictive, because you can have anything that you want. You can keep anything away from you. By all means possible for protection. It's how you approach it and how you do it. These cards are falling out here from Barbara Walker. I just had the Princess of Wands come out. Got it. He's a famous Marseille teacher, and it's a giant book of Marseille lessons. Wow, excellent. Yeah, Lizzie, you're doing what I'm going to be doing with my Tree of Life studies. So be nice to compare notes, see how our progress is coming along. This is going to take a long time, but I'll do the best I can. So Amy, is that fine? Do you want me to focus on your relationship with money and wealth? Or is there something more specific that you'd like me to answer for you? Let me know. Okay, will do. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining in. Wow. This card has fallen out twice already. I didn't show it earlier. It just fell out again, the World. Okay. The World. Lots of accomplishments and success. Kristen, hi, how are you? Okay, so Amy, that's a predictive question. Will I get my inheritance in 10 years' time? So let's do this. Let's just focus on the energy of your relationship with money. Okay. KDP, yes, you can ask a question. Donations are appreciated if you can. The donations are in the link in the description for this episode. It's not forced upon, but it is appreciated. So if you can, that would be great. If not, that's fine as well. Feel free to subscribe, like all of that. Let people know about this channel if you like the readings, how I communicate, so on and so forth. Energy exchange, in a sense. Okay, totally fine, Mel. Have a good night. Have a good night, Mel. Thank you for keeping me company. So Katie, I don't do any third-party questions. I'm getting everything that I had mentioned earlier that I don't do readings. I don't do predictive questions or third-party questions. Third-party questions are when you're asking about someone else. So keep in mind, think about your question in a way that maybe we can change that energy more towards what you need in a relationship, what's missing when it comes to what you would like to have in a relationship. I can do questions like that for you. Okay. And I think I'm going to stay online for another 15 minutes. Okay. All right. So let's see here. All right. So Amy, it's okay, right, to do that? Okay. Let's see here. What do we have here? Okay, so let's see where your relationship is with money and finances. All right. I'm going to pull two cards for you. Okay. So you got two cards, and this deck's very direct, and some people kind of get taken aback from some of the readings that, or some of the cards that come up in a reading. So let's see, Katie. Yes, that's totally fine. Tushar Katari or Katri. Yes, you can get a reading as well. So I'm currently doing a reading for one person, Tushar, and then Katie. We'll talk about the question that you posted, of course, and then we're going to change the direction of your question, okay? Because I don't do third-party questions. Okay. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Okay. Come back. It seemed like you didn't need to do a reading at this time, so just let me know, okay? Thank you for keeping me company. Okay, so the two cards I got here for you, Amy, is first card I got here is the Devil. And the devil is a card that is associated with binding, with forms of addiction. I'm not saying that you have an addiction or anything like that, but something that we may be thinking a little bit too much of. It deals with obsession. Um, it's a card that's in line with Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and it deals with forced limitations that we put upon ourselves when it comes to approaching certain things. So here, the relationship with the devil is not that we obsess about money, but it's something that is of importance to you, and it's something that I feel is what we need, what you need to try and get more of a control of, and it hasn't happened. Um, there's a way of how you want to get the money coming to you that may not be in your best, in your, can't think of the word, may not be of great service for you. Okay. I feel like this is something where you kind of want money to come in easy for you and not really go out and pursue it. Okay, this is what I'm feeling here. And so we have to change this. We have to change the relationship that we have to how we see, how we view money, how we work with money, how we use money. Okay. Money has changed meaning in the last 10 years. It's gone through currency shifts and changes and perception that money can be easily be made by anything. And it can be depending on what you have to give out, but also keep in mind too, we can't be thinking about it, losing sleep over it. We can't let it control us, even though it's very hard. We have to learn how to disconnect to a certain degree the importance of money. And as soon as you become an adult and you go out into the world and you are fending for yourself, your role of responsibility to wealth in general, including personal wealth, changes. Okay. And I have a bit of a struggle in letting go of that concept of what money is, what it's about. And so that's what I'm saying. It is very hard to separate that. And so when it's like that and you can't find any answers, we just kind of keep going the way we are. We need to change the way that we work with money. Okay. The other card I have here for you, Amy, is death. Okay, so these two cards, the major arcana, very strong archetypes and guides for you in understanding how to work through a situation, their influences. Death is letting go. Okay. Letting go of past habits, whether it's spending, past preconceived ideas of doing things to achieve money. We need to be a little bit more proactive. We need to be more mindful. And interesting enough, this card is ruled by Scorpio, and it is where the sun just moved into this morning. So we are now in the sun in Scorpio. This is the card that is associated with Scorpio. Scorpio is associated with Mars and Pluto. So those two planets are dealing with more of an aggressive way of breaking down old ways of doing things to get to the real answer. So there's going to be work here, Amy, that is needed to be done. Okay. To really let go of our relationship that we have with wealth, finance, and just abundance in general. I want to focus more on that than money, the green stuff. This again goes into our spiritual realm, goes into our physical realm, our emotional realm. All of that makes up how we see things and how we connect to finances. But here with the death card, okay, we have to start new. We have to be very scorponic in the way that we approach letting go of these bad habits, these ways that we have always wanted to work with money, but it hasn't worked the way that we want it to. Okay, so you have to make that change. So again, if you have a tarot deck, okay, these are the two cards you could pull out. Now they're going to look different. Okay, so we got the Devil and the Death card. Okay, so if you pull out those two cards and remember the reading that I've just given to you, this will help you. And you could keep looking at this. You know, we want to move away from this. This can be our attachment to how we view abundance. You know, it's very superficial, and we have to go beyond that. So we need to cut through a lot of stuff. And that's where this Death card comes in. Bad habits, letting go of karma, the karmic way of how we worked with abundance, and make it more resourceful for us so that whatever we're investing in becomes something that is of great value back to us. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. All right. So let me know, Amy. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know. Let's see, Linda, I just got confused with Venmo. When I understand how to send you a donation, I'll let you know. Okay, that's totally fine. It's totally fine, Linda. Okay, Katie. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, Katie. So let's see. Can be just a future about my. Okay, so let's just do your future when it comes to not a specific person. Future goes more in regards to what lies ahead for you in general, because it may not necessarily be this person, but it could lead you in the direction of where you need to be. Okay, and Tashar, let me know if you are still here. Okay. If not, I'm going to hang out for another 15 minutes and then I'm going to wrap it up. So let's see here. So let's see the direction of where the energy needs to go into a relationship, not into one person, one particular person. Okay, because if this is a relationship you're pursuing, at this point, the cards that I read will apply for any person that you may be involved in. It's just the direction that you need to place yourself in. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you, Katie. Let's see, Lizzie. Okay. You broke up, but you're hoping to reconcile. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, for Katie. Oops. Okay, first card came out. Is my Barbara Walker going to be a jumper deck for me? Okay, I'm going to get two more cards out for you. Oh. Huh, okay. One more card. I'll make that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to go from the bottom. Okay. Two major arcana cards here for you. All righty. Okay. First card I got here for you, as you can see here, Four of Swords, seclusion. I think what's needed here is this time. It's this time to think things out. You said that you broke up. When there's a breakup, depending on whoever left the situation, there's always that desire and that thought that comes into our heads, are we going to get back together again? Is that what's going to happen? And we do see a pattern with people that when it comes to relationships, that if something does break up, I'm just being direct and honest, there's very little chances that people get back together again and get a rekindled relationship. It may be many years if that was to happen. We have people who get divorced and they remarry after 10, 15, 20 years. And sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. I feel here with this Four of Swords, we need to focus more on this energy of just really thinking what came about in this relationship, the good, the bad, weighing it out. There's no scales here, but I like the placement of the Four of Swords here. The person is inside these Four of Swords, and we have the Pentacle that's there, and the individual's in a cave, and just the back is towards the opening, so we could see that there's a means of focus, not wanting to go back out, but a means of focus on what happened, what went right, what went wrong, what needs to be moved forward. And so we need this time to move ahead. The other cards that I have here, interesting enough, is the Lovers. Okay. This could be a sign of potential reconciliation, but what I take here with this card is that I'm feeling the energy is going more towards communicating. Okay. I'm going to have you look at this card very closely. Okay. Look at this energy. And so we have the officiant that's here, a person that's giving the blessings of these two souls. Now, we have to keep in mind with the Lovers is ruled by Gemini. Gemini is the connection with the mind. So with our Four of Swords, I'm feeling so far with these two cards that there's an issue of communication, and more like the way that the two of you interact with each other. There could be a sign of maybe miscommunication a few times that may have just got to a point to where the relationship just sort of I don't know this, may have, broke apart. And so this is the conscious part. This is where our focus is on. I feel that if you want to reestablish a friendship or any kind of ship, like relationship, friendship with this person, we need to go back to basics. And I feel too that you need to communicate with this person and ask questions. What went wrong? What did we miss? What was happening? And if the other party cannot answer that question or doesn't seem to want to be involved in answering the question, you got your answer, okay? Because you have someone who is not invested in working on the relationship, making it grow or anything like that. If there's a disinterest, as hard as this is, you have to let it go. And you should never force upon someone who is who just doesn't seem to be present in any kind of relationship, business, friendship. You move on, okay? But also, too, I want you to be mindful with the Four of Swords not to get too caught up. Don't stay in this cave. Don't stay lost or locked down in the mind of overthinking about the situation. Okay. This is where the challenge comes for a lot of people. It's like, okay, I get it. We need a timeout to work things away from each other so I could think things out, so I could feel things, take care of my heart. And then when I'm ready, I can jump back into it. But you have to know, you have to start making these steps to make these changes, because if you're just thinking over and over again, don't worry what the other person's thinking. Focus on what you need, okay, what is important in this situation, okay? And this applies to your future relationships in general, okay? Now, the card that I got here, here's our second major arcana card, is Strength. Okay, so this is following our instincts. Okay, this is one of many typical depictions of an individual taking control. I'm going to show you here holding the lion's mouth open. Okay, please don't do that. Please, anyone who's watching this, it's a tarot card. Please don't try to hold open a dog, a cat, or any animal's mouth open. Just a little bit of a disclaimer. But what this means at a deeper level is it's taking control, or let's throw the word control. It's taking charge and listening to our instincts and following them, and understanding that strength that we have in us to go forward, to go better ahead in a place that we weren't so good in before. Learn from what was happening in that relationship. When you think about past relationships, if it's your first one, then you're going to learn from it. But if you've been in past relationships, think about, you're welcome, Amy. Thank you so much. When you think about past relationships, we want to break patterns. Okay, we don't want to do the same thing that we did before. We don't want to be with the same person. We don't want that same kind of energy. We want something different, okay, so that we could grow ahead and move forward, okay? And that's where empowering comes in with this card. We feel that confidence, we feel that strength, we feel this courage that we can move forward, okay? So this is what you need. There are people that you see, the way that they interact with people, that they're very confident. They know how to approach people. They know how to enter into a situation and communicate in a way, and then they leave, and that's it. There's no anxiety. There's no issues that come up from it. I'm going to pull another card because I just shuffled and this came out. But if we don't pay attention, we get this, okay? We need to make these changes, because if these changes don't start taking shape and you don't start growing, the way that you'll deal with any future relationships will be like this, because you're not getting, you're not receiving what is most important to you, and that's very hard, okay? That's one of many words that you can describe the Five of Cups: regret, okay? And that's what happens when relationships end. For one person is sort of like, okay, I am regretting this. Why did I do this? Or why did this happen? Stop asking the why. It just happened. It's done. And you learn from that lesson, and give it time. You need to heal. Okay. Spend time with yourself. Okay. Journal. Write about your experiences. Pull some cards, okay? Sorry, I don't look at the chat when I do the readings, so let me see what you have here. You're trying, but I go back and forth, missing him and letting go, and that's natural. You know, when you've been in a relationship for some time, you've built those bonds, you've built those connections, whether they were good or bad, and it's kind of hard to release them, you know, and let go of them. And it's hard to communicate with each other when we disagree. Okay, this is where the issue comes in then. Okay, the only way this card of the Lovers comes into play is it's that balance of opposing forces, understanding the weak side and the strengths of yourself, but also your partner, so that you can be supportive of each other. If you don't understand both sides of your partner, let alone yourself, you can't be of service. You cannot be there for that person. And that's what strengthens a relationship, I feel, is understanding those two opposing energies. Okay. Enough that if someone is fallen, if your potential partner is on the weaker side, you can be there, heart, body, mind, and soul. Not like, oh, I don't want to really bother with this. As soon as you start thinking like that, as soon as you start getting lazy in a relationship, that's it. It's done. Okay. You're just setting up the steps of not wanting to work on that relationship. Okay. And so it's important for people that, you know, if they're in a relationship and they want to leave and they don't know how to tell the person or how to approach it, it's just going to drag on. Okay. So it's very important with this Lover's card to understand that there has to be complete harmony and understanding of everyone. And that makes the strength and the stronghold of a relationship. It empowers you, and it empowers the other person as well that you're involved in. Okay. I'll stay until the end of October and then I'll move on. Don't even give yourself a time frame, you know, but if you feel like it's time to move on, only you know that. Okay. Only you know when the time will be to move on. So that's very important. Okay. So we have the primary cards. 4 of Swords. Okay. Really think things out. Spend time with yourself. Carefully see what was missing and what needed to be let go of and what needs to come in. Oh, and then, of course, the Lover's card. This is very important. I feel for your reading. Okay. It needs to go both ways. It can't be one way. Relationships, it has to be both ways. If one person is doing much more work than the other person, then it's not a relationship. And then, of course, the card of self-empowerment, strength. Okay. Knowing that you could take charge of a situation and move beyond it and move past it. You learn from the past so that you can apply it to the future. And then, of course, the card to just be aware of, just be mindful of. If you don't make any changes, there can be this continual process of regret, disenchanted of what's going on in that relationship. Okay. Again, you're welcome, Katie. Let's see. Yeah, you will try to change. Okay. And that's what it's all about. You know, if there's strife in a relationship, we need to move forward from it. And the way we move forward is we change aspects of ourselves. Okay. Alrighty. So feel free to keep in touch, Katie. Anyone else who is watching, thank you for taking part in the chat, listening, all your requests. Anyone who left a donation, thank you so much for that. And I appreciate your patience and your presence here. So I'm going to end it here because we are almost 6:30, and I think it's almost 9:30 for people on the East Coast. So most of the states is getting ready to turn in and get ready for the work week. Everyone in Europe is asleep. Brianne Love, thank you for being here. So just a few announcements. I'm going to try and squeeze in 1 or 2 videos this week. One is going to be another deck review, hopefully with better volume. Again, that the 5th tarot is a mystery. I can hear it on my side. Just may have to just turn up the volume a bit on your phone or computer. But when I recorded it, the volume was there. But anyhow, I'm going to probably put in 1 more deck review this week, and then next week I'm trying to plan for Samhain, a Samhain live. I'm going to try and aim for Sunday on the 30th before Samhain takes place on the 31st, and I'll keep it more on the lighter side. We'll talk a little bit about Samhain, the Witch's Sabbath, how it is of importance to me and hopefully for others as well. And I will pull a few cards as well to welcome in the Witch's New Year of Samhain, and let people know about this channel. Again, appreciate people liking and subscribing. I know there's not a lot of content. There's nothing fancy about my channel, so I do things that are unedited. So I appreciate people just accepting who I am, how I read, so on and so forth. Any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And I have to thank Barbara Walker for creating such a wonderful deck and to be my deck of guidance during this time of the year. So it's a wonderful deck. I'm going to do a few readings with it tonight, actually. And so before I leave, I started about 2 hours ago. Okay, Nancy, that's fine. There's a shop about almost 2 miles from me. And I was looking to get a few of these, but this one shop that I go to, it's a metaphysical shop that leans a little bit more towards witchcraft. They have tarot books and various other kinds of resources there. I got me, you can see this. This is a witch's torch or hag's torch. This is handmade. You catch the live next week, I am going to be burning this. Wow. And it has beautiful herbs, oils. And I wanted to create a witch's torch before I left the mountains because I had no one. And good night, Nancy. Thank you, Brianna. And it's actually it takes some work to create this. And so you need to melt down lots of candle wax just to fill up, to cover this this stalk of mullein, and then you got to roll it in herbs, and then you have to let it dry. It's quite a process. But I met this woman at this shop, Raven's Wing company that's here in Portland, and she makes these. And the one time I went to the store, she didn't have any, and she left me a comment on Instagram that she had made some more. So I went to the store earlier today and got this. These apparently last a very long time. They burn for hours on end, so I have to be mindful when I burn this. The circumstances of how I'm going to burn this, because it can produce a lot of smoke. So I may have to leave this outside in a very tree-free area so that doesn't cause any sparking, because it can pop. So anyhow, got the witch's torch, and I got a few other things that I will share with you next week. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that because I started to make mention that I picked up a few things and I got sidetracked. So have a wonderful night. And I appreciate everyone's support for watching. You have a great week. And stay tuned for one more video. Hopefully I can get it done this week. And then I will see you all next weekend for Samhain. I'll see if I could bring some guests in, see how everyone's plans are shaping. If you want to get dressed up, please feel free to do so. And we'll take it from there. Okay? So happy Samhain week. Read your cards if you're feeling that Scorpio energy connecting with your spiritual practice in a greater way. Go with it, follow it, live it, do it all the way. Your energy for this time in the month of Scorpio moves deeper. And the new moon solar eclipse that takes place this week is going to emphasize that energy more. So be mindful how your practice could be shifting during this week, in particular as we enter Samhain. Okay. All righty. Thank you again, everyone. I will see you all next week.